Hello, and thank you for joining us for today's lunchtime presentation by Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management. Our subject for today is 10 budget killers to avoid. I am joined by my colleague Dan Leitner, and he and I will be presenting to you today on the subject of trying to avoid different budget killers. Um, I'll be speaking as the host today. My name is Sean Hendricks. I am a financial advisor and an attorney with Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management. I've got my law license back in 2009. I have both passed both the Series 7 and the Series 65 exams for financial advisory services. And I figured I'd say Happy Tax Day, everyone. Said nobody ever. But I hope you all got your taxes done and that you're enjoying getting that out of the way. For today's topic, each of the 10 budget killers that we're going to talk about today are all on this list, and I'm going to run through this real quick. We're going to talk about credit cards or high interest debt, not having an emergency fund, unused subscriptions, impulse purchases, lifestyle creep, daily splurges, lottery tickets and gambling, always needing new stuff, paying too much for convenience, and ignoring retirement. Those are the budget killers that we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to do a deeper dive on each one of those. So, first on the list is probably the most common one that we like to talk about. It's credit cards and high interest debt. Now, I don't think I'm the first one to say this, but credit cards are evil. And for more reasons than you might think. Everybody understands and everybody knows that credit cards tend to charge ultra high interest, right? So when you put things on credit cards and you let the interest rack up on you, that causes a problem. But as a financial advisor, when I see someone who's constantly using credit cards and not paying them off right away, aside from the high interest, which is a super huge problem, it creates another problem, and this is the lesser known one. And if someone makes $70,000 per year and they then put $30,000 a year on a credit card, they're not living a $70,000 a year standard of living. They're living a $100,000 a year standard of living. So if they want to pay off that credit card, they have to flip it and they have to do the opposite the next year. And that's really, really hard to do. So if you take that same person who's making $70,000 a year and they want to pay off that $30,000 a year, they now have to accept living at a $40,000 standard of living, so that's a huge swing, right? Going from 100 to 40, and it feels impossible. So avoiding putting stuff on credit cards because of high interest is a big deal. But also not putting a lot of stuff on credit cards because it makes you, if you do it, it makes you live a standard of living that feels impossible. So credit cards are evil for those two reasons: high interest and the huge swings in standard of living that they cause. But in addition to just credit cards, which are high interest, I consider all high interest debt to be evil. Okay. And so when you're making a purchase and you're going to use debt to do it, think about it this way. Take the rate of the debt and imagine a store with a sign in the window that puts that percentage of the interest on the sign. That, today only everything costs 29% more. Well, nobody would ever go into that store, right? Nobody would ever buy stuff there. But that's exactly what you're doing when you use debt, and specifically high interest debt, to buy things. You're paying a premium above the actual cost of the item. So if you think about it that way, it might help to kind of eliminate that, the easy factor, right? The factor that says, oh, I can just buy this now and I'll worry about it later. Well, if you think about it like, hey, I'm paying a premium on the cost of this item, and you do that every time, it'll help you kind of hopefully break that cycle. The second thing, the second budget killer is not having an emergency fund. So if you have high interest debt, we want you to build up an emergency fund of $1,000 and then use everything at your disposal to attack that debt. If you've paid off your high interest debt, then we want you to have an emergency fund that would cover 3 to 6 months worth of necessary living expenses. So your emergency fund it has two purposes. One is it's like insurance against a job loss, right? So if you were to lose your job, you'd be able to live without having to go into debt by living off of your emergency fund. But then it provides a second purpose. Your emergency fund acts like an insulator against having to use credit cards for unexpected expenses. So if the transmission breaks, or if the furnace breaks, or if something happens where you need to pay cash for something, you can use cash from your emergency fund. You cannot pay any interest on it. There is no interest because you're not putting it on a credit card. And then once once that item has been paid for, replenish your emergency fund. It's a lot easier to replenish your emergency fund than it is to pay down an equivalent amount on a credit card that's charging you interest every month. So the first step is, if you have high interest debt, build up that $1,000 emergency fund. Once you pay down that high interest debt, which is no small task, but once you get there, then we want to expand your emergency fund to 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses, and that will help you avoid the credit card or high interest debt trap. Those first two, by the way, are very closely linked. Credit cards and emergency funds, those are intentionally number 1 and number 2 on my list. Going to number 3 on the list is unused subscriptions. This one is becoming much, much more common. Unused subscriptions are, if you've ever buy anything now, it seems like almost always the company that you're buying things from, hey, do you want to create a monthly subscription out of this? These are like little budget vampires. Every little subscription that you sign up for, it drains your money every month. And the companies that do these things try to entice you, like, oh, get 20% off if you sign up for a recurring monthly order. They want to make it so that they offer you some sort of incentive, because they are hoping to get into this pile of unused subscriptions that you just ignore every month. And so these recurring monthly services or automatic shipments, streaming services are a biggie. Grocery delivery is a biggie. Anything that you can order, like heck, even like online services now. Things that I even still use when I'm buying things. I've noticed now that when you go to pay, there's an option like, hey, do you want to sign up for this every month? These things creep up on you, and they can add up to a lot of money every month. So the way that I use, the method I use is, I look at my bank statement every month, and anything that looks like a monthly recurring charge, I audit it. I figure out, hey, what is this? Am I still using it? Do I need it? And I actively seek to get rid of those every month. So auditing is super important to help make sure that you're not using, or that you're not paying for unused subscriptions. And this is something that I've even fallen victim to. I have a cable service at my house, and yeah, I'm the guy who still uses cable. But my cable subscription actually includes some monthly streaming services, and I didn't realize it. So I was double paying for some streaming services just because I wasn't paying attention. So that audit helped me figure it out. I would encourage you to do the same. And before you agree to sign up for a service that involves any kind of monthly recurring charge, just a really easy thing is to multiply that amount by 12. All right. That thing that you want right now, where you think, hey, it's only $25 a month. Well, that sounds a lot worse when you say, hey, it's $300 a year. So before you sign up for a streaming service because there's some movie that you want to watch, right? And so you sign up for the streaming service and you think, it's $25 a month. Well, chances are, if you're like most people, you're going to forget about that, and you're going to pay $25 a month. So that movie that you just wanted to watch on that one streaming service, it becomes less appealing if you think it's going to cost you $300. Another tip with this is, if you're going to sign up for a monthly service, make sure that you know how to cancel before you sign up, because a lot of services will automatically renew every month, meaning they'll just keep renewing indefinitely. And if you want to cancel, sometimes there's even a cancellation penalty. So just know what you're getting into before you sign up, and actively seek to get rid of unused subscriptions. And they always show up in your bank account, right? Because you got to pay for them somehow. So your monthly bank statement is a really good place to check for these. Along similar lines, unused subscriptions are usually the result of impulse purchases, but impulse purchases themselves are a budget killer. So, a good example of impulse purchases is if you're going to the grocery store and you have let's say you have your grocery list, right? But you see something in the front of the store and it's like, oh, I forgot about that, or I really want that, and you grab it. That's an impulse purchase. So, a good way to defeat impulse purchases is to plan what you need to buy in advance and stick to your list, right? Stores or online retailers love to put things that are good candidates for impulse purchases in really, really obvious places so that it's just the kind of thing that you're going to grab as you walk by. Or it's the thing that pops up in a window when you're shopping online, like, oh, hey, I see you bought this. Don't you also want this? And so don't fall for those things. Impulse purchases can really stack up on you, and chances are, if you didn't think that you needed it in advance, you probably don't really need it. So, the pro tip with impulse purchases or how to avoid it is what I call the 3-day rule. Meaning, if you're going to buy something or if you're in a store and you're going to buy something that's off your list, wait 3 days or wait until the next time you're back at the store or you're back online. Because if you don't still need it after 3 days, if you don't still need it, then chances are you didn't need it in the first place. But if you decide that you do still need it after 3 days, build it into your budget. Okay. If you're like most people, that thing that you saw in the store that you really wanted, the cookies or the junk food or whatever it is that you saw at the grocery store, or that thing that popped up when you were shopping online, chances are you didn't really need it. It was just some algorithm trying to show you something that you were likely to buy based on, what your purchase history. So don't fall for it. The 3-day rule can help you. The next item is what I like to call lifestyle creep. Okay? Lifestyle creep is the bad habit of spending more as your income increases, which in turn causes things that used to be luxuries to be viewed as necessities. And the easy example here is if you used to drive an old, beat up Toyota and now you drive a Mercedes, you might be a victim of lifestyle creep. Okay. That old car that used to reliably get you to and from, that was that was what you could afford. And then when your income increased, you said, okay, now I need a new shiny car. Lifestyle creep is what happens when you earn more and therefore you spend more. But the things that you're spending more on don't necessarily do a better job for you than the old thing, meaning that new car, it's still just getting you from A to B. It doesn't fly, it doesn't get you around traffic, it doesn't do anything more for you, but you justify it because the increase in earning allows you to do it. But from the point of view of a financial advisor, the real problem that I have is that when people earn more and then spend more, that causes an increase in their standard of living. But they don't turn around and make sure that they're proportionally sharing that increase in earning with their retirement. So they have this lifestyle that they had for a long time, and they were saving at a rate that would have covered that lifestyle. But now, as things move up, as their lifestyle increases, they're still trying to plan on retiring on their old standard of living, and that's a huge problem. And that's where a lot of people end up falling on their face in retirement. So watch for lifestyle creep. Okay, if you are earning more, as you earn more, make sure that you are proportionally saving more to cover that increased lifestyle. And there's nothing wrong with feeling good about earning more and maybe doing some things to for yourself. But if you're not saving and you're spending, you're still living paycheck to paycheck even though you're earning more, that's a problem, and you're living on that's a symptom of lifestyle creep. Item 6 on the list is you could listen to 1,000 different financial gurus and they'll all give a different form of this advice, but it's true. Okay. Daily splurges are budget killers. And I like to say that this is the kind of the financial version of death by a thousand cuts. It's not just necessarily one thing. It's the cumulative effect of lots of little decisions that kill your budget. And the joke is like, the $9 Uber Grande Mocha Frappo Latte or whatever you want to call it that costs $9, right? If you're doing that every day, that daily habit costs you $3,285 a year. Or spending $15 on lunch 5 days a week. That's going to cost you $3,900 per year. Giving up those two things alone could just about fund your Roth IRA for the entire year. So it's not always, or like the recent example was, avocado toast, right? It's not the avocado toast. It's not the $9 coffee. It's the doing that one time, but doing that or some different version of that every single day. Those things that you spend money on every single day, and it could be a coffee one day and an avocado toast the next day, and it could be, a fast food meal the next day. But it's those habits. The bad habits are what get you with these daily splurges. So if you could give up those daily splurges, and by giving those things up, you could really, really advance your savings or your retirement. It's probably a good idea. And if you happen to be spending on those daily splurges on things that are unhealthy for you anyway, like the ultra high calorie coffee drink or the lunch burger. If your financial advisor and your doctor would probably both tell you that it's a good idea to give those things up, then it probably actually is a good idea, and it's probably good for your health anyway, both your physical health and your financial health. The next item on our list, number 7, is lottery tickets and gambling. And I put those two things in the same category. And I put together a list here of things that are more likely to happen to you than winning the lottery or winning like the big lottery. Getting struck by lightning twice is 1 in 19 million. Becoming president of the United States, 1 in 32.6 million. Or getting killed by a cow, 1 in 112 million. And the really funny thing, I shouldn't laugh, but the funny thing about getting killed by a cow, or I had to laugh when I thought about that, is there's people that don't live anywhere near cows, right? If you're a person who lives on the 30th floor of a high rise in a city, you're still more likely to get killed by a cow statistically than winning the lottery. Now, so all of these things are more likely than winning Powerball. And these are just illustrative examples, right? It's it really comes down to a habit too. It's not the one time that you buy a ticket, right? But it's the fact that once you start doing these things more often than just once in a great, great while, they can add up to some real money. And proof of that is in 2023, US gamblers lost $264 billion. All right. $264 billion is not a small amount of money. And the proof of this is that casino operators don't build cities in the middle of the desert by losing money. So if you have a habit of buying lottery tickets or a habit of gambling, if you can get rid of those things, a lot of people could do themselves a lot of good by stopping buying those things and either putting that money towards their high interest debt or using those funds to add to their emergency fund or putting that money towards retirement. Those would all be much better uses of those same dollars. Budget killer number 8, needing new stuff. The brand new car, the latest cell phone, or brand new clothes. You know what all those things have in common besides generally being expensive? They all depreciate. They're all not going to be worth very much in 5 years. So when you spend big money on a depreciating asset, that's always going to be a bad move. And if you happen to be doubling up, meaning, and you're doing what a lot of people do, you're putting those, you're going into interest-bearing debt on those things, like a high-interest loan for the new car, putting a new phone or new clothes on a credit card, right? Then you're losing twice. you're paying interest, sometimes high interest, on a depreciating asset. So therefore, you're losing twice. So that new stuff that you might feel like you need to have, it really can, from a financial standpoint, really, really hurt you. And in my book, that would be like losing twice in choosing to do so. So if don't be a double loser. You don't always need the brand new flashy car. You don't always need the latest and greatest cell phone. Okay, cell phones, especially in my book, cell phones that are a generation old and can be purchased for half the price or two generations old, they can all do the same stuff. They can take pictures, they can check your email, they can do all the same stuff. It's just that 2 nanoseconds of being faster is not the kind of thing that anyone will notice. And as far as like new expensive clothes, I mean, none of us are, runway models. Well, maybe a couple people watching are, and I hope you are. But generally, you don't need new and flashy clothes to do the things that you need to do in your life. So don't get suckered into paying high prices for things that you don't really need. Item number 9. This one is it's probably going to be higher on the list as time goes on, but paying too much or paying more for convenience. And what I mean by this is we live in a world now where time is always at a premium, right? So the doing things in a way that seems inconvenient to save money, just sometimes it can feel too burdensome. So paying, $6 for a gallon of milk at the gas station, or my favorite addition to this list is using a delivery service to get fast food delivered, right? Because again, eating fast food is kind of a no-no. But then a double no-no is paying a whole bunch of money to have that fast food delivered, or just spending a lot of money, more often than just every once in a great while to go out to dinner because preparing food at home is too time consuming. The average millennial, according to CNET, earned about 4,100, or the average millennial spent $4,154.40 per year on food delivery or dining out. According to Yahoo Finance, the average millennial's income was about $4,500 per month. So the average millennial who was dining out or ordering out a lot was losing about a month's worth of income just by doing those things. And I'm not trying to pick on millennials. It's just that a lot of times the convenience services that I'm talking about are most frequently used by the younger generation. So it is also the younger generation who is most at risk for needing to pay down debt and not having the means to do so, or needing to start saving for retirement and not to do so. So not trying to pick on the younger generation, trying to help the younger generation with this one. The convenience things that are habits that you use without thinking about it could literally be costing you a month of your, of your earnings each year. And then number 10, the number 10 budget killer. Of course, we are financial advisors and we help people plan for retirement. So I couldn't not throw something in there on this list about retirement planning. But ignoring retirement is a huge budget killer. If you fail to set aside money for retirement early on, you then have to sacrifice more to catch up later. It's pretty common for people to think that they can, I'll just wait until I earn more money, and I'll be earning more money in the future. But there are some problems with that logic. Number one is that's not guaranteed, right? It might take longer than you think. Number two is that bad habits are really hard to break. It's really easy once you start putting something off to keep putting it off. Finding excuses is always going to be easier than finding reasons, meaning if you procrastinate doing something, and you'll always find an excuse to procrastinate it. And then the other faults in the logic are just because you earn more later in life doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have more money, right? There are expensive things that happen later in life too. So having kids, saving up for college, things like inflation, those are always going to be potential issues that might make it just as hard later. So don't wait. Start now. Don't put yourself behind and put yourself in a position where you have to make even bigger sacrifices down the road. because that can be a huge budget killer for you too. My advice would be make saving for retirement a need, automate it, and build it into your budget. The opportunity cost of waiting is huge, so make retirement saving a need instead of a want. So all of those things that we've talked about, all of these budget killers on this list have something in common. They all relate to good habits versus bad habits. So forming good habits like saving up an emergency fund, saving up cash for purchases instead of using credit cards, and committing to saving for retirement will benefit you in the long run. Bad habits like spending impulsively, failing to plan for big purchases, using credit cards or incurring high interest debt, or gambling will hurt your long-term financial health. So if you plan for big purchases, audit your bank statements to make sure that all of your expenses are necessary, and then commit to saving for the future. Call us to let us help. It's literally a big part of what we do. So I will go ahead and give it a moment to see if there are any questions that come up. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to submit them through the Q&A. If you're watching this as a recording instead of watching it live, I would encourage you to reach out to us. Either call the phone number on the screen, 847-428-3997. Go to our website, email us at info@hendrickswealth.com. Any one of those ways you can reach us if you have any questions about this or any other questions really about matters relating to financial advising and retirement planning. So I haven't seen any questions come in, so we'll give it another 10 seconds or so. Also, during this time, while we're waiting for a question or two to come up, I know that we have another couple of lunchtime presentations in the next weeks. They're going to be on Wednesday during lunch each week. Next Wednesday is Dan talking about protecting your family without overinsuring them. And then our colleague Tom Anderson will present the following week, talking about the 7 most common 401k mistakes and how to fix them. So, and you can also always go to our website, the events page on our website, and you'll be able to see what presentations are coming up. You can also access information about past presentations as well. So with no questions having come in, I will tell you thank you very much for attending. If you would ever like to meet with us or to request an appointment, again, you can reach out at info@hendrickswealth.com. You can reach our Illinois line or our Florida line right there, or to register or get information about future presentations, please visit www.hendrickswealth.com/events. With that being said, I think that covers everything. Dan, you have anything you wanted to add? We're all good?
No, I'd say nice job, Sean, and I hope everybody enjoyed the presentation, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you all have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.